Greetings and konnichiwa, and welcome to the Onyx Tavern. I'm your host, Rick the Barkeep, bringing you episode 174 here at the Tavern, presented by HeroTaku.com. So, despite popular belief, I am not dead, and the Onyx Tavern is still on the air. So, for those of you out there who enjoy the show, rejoice. For those of you who don't, go back to weeping. So I was on vacation for the last 3 weeks, about a month here. I got a chance to go back to the States, spend some time with my family, spend some time with my wife, most importantly, spend time with my daughter. It was great. Although probably the second best part of that entire trip was getting to eat American food again. Because, guys, I've been here a year, haven't had a chance to eat any real American food, and I kid you not, in this last year, I've lost 60 pounds. So when I went back to the States, I'm gorging on Buffalo Wild Wings and Steak and Shake and Taco Bell and Penn Station, which, I only gained like 5 pounds in the entire time I was back there. So that's, I don't know, it must be amazing for me. Whatever. But that's beside the point. Um, Now that I'm back, of course, I am going to cover some Power Ranger news that did happen. I did not go to Power Morphicon for many reasons. There are a few things I would like to go ahead and discuss from that, but we're not going to go ahead and discuss them today. I will eventually discuss them, but just not right now. I want to kind of ease back into, the Power Ranger news aspect. But what I do want to discuss with you guys today is something that popped in my head from, discussion I had with my wife. So one of the primary reasons that I did go back to the States here in August was because, well, my daughter's birthday is in August, and it's her first birthday, believe it or not. So very special event. It was loads of fun to actually, have her party, have some friends and family over. It was great. But leading up to that, of course, we had to go get the party favors and decorations and whatnot and stuff. And the wife and I, we went to Party City. And while we were there looking at the different themes and designs and stuff, what did we naturally come across? Power Rangers Dino Charge birthday theme stuff. So they had, the paper plates and the cups and the party favors, the noise makers, all that stuff. It was pretty cool. I haven't actually been to a birthday party in a long time, or had one for myself, unfortunately. But hey, it was a lot of cool stuff that they have. So, my wife and I are trying to decide what theme we're going to have for Trini. Which, yes, if you guys don't know, my daughter is named after a Power Ranger. So I just asked her, hey, honey, and I ask her this in like a half serious, half joking type of way, because that's the way I have to approach my wife sometimes. I go, hey, let's have a Power Ranger theme party for Trini. Wouldn't that be great? And of course, my wife, her response was something along the lines of, hell no. And of course, I had to press on in this conversation, as I typically do, and I asked her, oh, why not? Why not have a Power Ranger theme party for Trini? Because, there's a little bit of irony, the girl named Trini is having a Power Ranger party. This girl's going to grow up in a Power Ranger atmosphere right now, guys. Heck, I own the Legacy DVD collection. When it's time for it to plop her in front of the television, she's going to be watching Power Rangers, and this girl's going to be a Power Ranger freak just like me. I hope. Anyway, okay, so I asked my wife why can't Trini have a Power Ranger themed party? And my wife's response was, because she's a girl. To which I asked, and? And it just, needless to say, we didn't have a Power Ranger themed party, but this conversation I had with her really kind of got me thinking, and I really haven't come to a conclusion on it, but I do want to share my thoughts with you guys on this. And that's particularly, because my daughter is a girl, does that mean she can't enjoy Power Rangers? Is Power Rangers something that is the domain of males only, or is it something that can be shared amongst both genders? Now, I'm going to tell you straight off, like I just said, I don't have a conclusion to this, but I do want to kind of share my thoughts here. And I really want to share them without having to go into either Super Sentai or the merchandising. But just as a quick aside, the merchandising, here's the thing. We're living in a society where that line between male and female is no longer that solid line that we thought it was. Every day that line seems to be blurred and blurred even more. And just to put this into context of some way, or to describe it best to you guys, I equate this in a way to the way we define what is and is not a Power Ranger nowadays. Which I know sounds a little bit odd, but just kind of follow my logic here. Back in the day when Power Rangers first started, we had red, blue, black, pink, yellow, green, white. If you were a color, you were a Power Ranger. That's what defined you. Red Ranger, Blue Ranger, Green Ranger, eventually Silver Ranger, Gold Ranger. That's what defined a Power Ranger. But as the years have gone on, the show has expanded. We've opened our mind to some new ideas, new concepts. We suddenly get things like Titanium Ranger and Quantum Ranger. Characters who have Ranger in their name, but they don't have a color. So, of course, what is a Ranger goes beyond what is a color, can be an object or something like that. Then we get characters like the Wolf Warrior and Jared in his armored form and the Magna Defender, where they don't have Ranger in their name, and there's a debate of whether they are Rangers or not. And that's where we are kind of now in the series. Is like, if they don't have Ranger in their name, there is a debate of whether they are a Ranger or not. And this, to me, is a little bit similar of what we have in the real world of male and female. Because I've seen debates, they look male, they look female, what's their chromosome, what's under their pants, whatever and stuff. There are those discussions going on, and we have things like from what's going on in North Carolina to stuff in the laboratory to basically saying that Target was in the wrong for having a girls building toy section and a boys building toy section, and now they just have a building toys section, and some people still think they're in the wrong for doing that. So the whole thing is just really kind of complicated in terms of, gender in that regard, how it affects merchandising and stuff like that. And I don't want to get too much into that, but just as kind of a brief aside, I do recall back in the early days of Power Rangers, we did have Power Ranger Barbies, where they were basically Kimberly, Trini, and I think they made an Aisha doll, I'm not sure, where they were basically, second-rate Barbies where you could dress them in their standard teen clothes or dress them up as, Power Rangers. And that was something that was directly marketed towards girls. But again, I don't want to get into the whole marketing towards girls and girls section and bronies and the pink aisle and all that stuff. That's stuff I don't want to dive into in this discussion directly. What I primarily want to go ahead and talk about is Power Rangers as a franchise constricted to the show and the content of the show, whether or not it's really accessible for females and if it is something that females can watch. Because here's my thing. I feel Power Rangers is a gender neutral show. It is a show that could be enjoyed by both males and females, boys and girls, men and women. I don't think you have to be one or the other to go ahead and enjoy it. Now, I don't know what the demographics are on people who actually watch Power Rangers. I don't know, whether it is predominantly male, predominantly female. But what I will say is from people I've met and the fan community, I am going to go ahead and admit that an overwhelming majority is male, that there are very few female fans out there, to the point where, I'm going to be honest, I've never actually met a female fan of Power Rangers. I'm sure I may have talked with them online, but I've never actually met one in person. And of course, if my analytics are any indication, according to my channel, less than 25% of my audience is female. So 75% of you listening right now are male, and the 25% out there are female. So there's something going on where more men are enjoying it. And why is it that more men are enjoying it? And are we saying that because men enjoy it, that women can't enjoy it? I mean, I think the first thing you can look to is that 3/4 of the cast for any given season is male. Now, of course, that is a direct result of the Sentai footage for at least the Ranger portion of it. Now, that was different the first 10 years because of what we did with the gender swapping of the Yellow Rangers, which gender swapping is another topic to get into. But again, three-quarters of the cast is male, but we do have female Rangers, female villains, female mentors, female allies. Women are in the show, to be sure. And I would also say there are not many episodes that are focused on a specific gender, where what I'm saying is a man has to be in this role or a female has to be in this role. Take the most recent episode of Power Rangers Dino Supercharge, Besties Forever, which I will say is the worst episode of Dino Supercharge thus far, is the worst title for an episode, and just overall worst. It was a really bad episode. But the episode is not bad because the main characters are female in this episode. We have Shelby and her bestie, whatever, as the main characters of the episode. Now, if you swapped out those characters for, say, Riley and a friend that he knew, or Chase and a friend that he knew, or Tyler and his father, or some other character, if you switch out male characters, you essentially get the same story. Now, are there going to be differences between having a male in the lead and a female in the lead? Oh, for sure. But I'm not going to say Besties Forever is an episode that exclusively must have a female lead or male lead, otherwise you lose the essence of the story. And the story is simply don't lie to people, don't take credit for things that you don't actually do, which is a gender neutral lesson. About the only time I can really think of a role that required a female character to be in there was probably when Lord Zed captured Kimberly to make him his queen. But that's a plot that can be utilized in any season for just about any character. You could have done it a year earlier and done with Rita capturing, Zach or Jason to become her king. Heck, you could have made Zed gay and captured, Jason or Tommy, and that would have been an interesting episode to definitely watch. But the point is, really, there aren't too many stories out there where it's dependent on this character being male and female, unless you do put them in those roles to begin with. Because take a look at Alex and Jen, because you could have had those roles reversed. It would have been Jen who died, and Alex went back in time and met an ancestor of Jen's, who then became the Pink Ranger, Red Ranger, however you want to go ahead and do it. It's all about how you establish those roles, but there's no role on Power Ranger that I can think of where this character must be male, this character must be female, because logically speaking, if you wanted to, if you wanted to, you can make every ranger on the team female. Yes, you can. Let's just, for the sake of argument here, let's go ahead and take Ninja Steel, which is the next upcoming season. Which, yes, we know there are males and females. There's mixture in there, but there's no reason why, if you wanted to, you couldn't make all 5 characters female. Female red Ninja Steel, blue, yellow, pink, white, and then even the Gold Ranger coming later could still be a woman. There's nothing that says the Red Ranger has to be a man other than the Sentai footage. But again, as we've already established, we did gender swaps in the past. There's no reason why we can't gender swap the Red Ranger to be a woman. Heck, we did it with Charlie, in the series, which had no Sentai counterpart. And of course, we had Lauren, who did have a Sentai counterpart. Again, I'm not trying to get into that too much, but if we wanted to make Ninja Steel an all-female cast, we can go ahead and do it. I mean, and take a more recent example of this. I mean, look at Ghostbusters. They had an all-female cast, and despite whatever you think of that film, Ghostbusters is a premise that is not relegated to having an all-male cast. The concept of itself of hunting and capturing ghosts is not a male-centric story. But there are male-centric stories out there. There are female-centric stories out there. I think, like Bridal Wars, that's a movie my mother likes for some inexplicable reason. That's a female-centric movie where you really can't have 2 males in the role and have that movie really make sense. But you can do it for Power Rangers. You can do it for Ghostbusters. There's a lot that you can go ahead and do there. So, you could go ahead and make it all female cast and all female Rangers. There's nothing wrong with that. You have males supporting, or you can have no males whatsoever. It's up to you to do whatever you want with your story. The only important thing is it a good story? Which is, what most people were kind of saying about Ghostbusters. As long as it's a good story, I'm going to go ahead and enjoy it. Um, but leading off of that, you can do Power Rangers with any gender ratio that you want, but the thing is, what is it about Power Rangers that makes it enjoyable to men? I mean, some of the arguments I've always heard is like, well, it's got martial arts. Okay, but women do martial arts all the time. It's got fighting. Women fight all the time too. Well, it's got giant robots. What is it about giant robots that women don't like? I mean, what about giant robots says, oh, this is a male only kind of thing? I honestly can't think of a good argument to say why Power Rangers is a male only franchise. What about it is interesting to guys and not interesting to women? Now, is Power Rangers, a power fantasy? Where you imagine that you have the power, you can become a superhero, do all these things. Yeah, is the power fantasy idea a male only thing, or is it something that's shared between men and women? Because as far as I know, that's something that women fantasize about too. Women fantasize about being powerful just as much as men fantasize as being powerful. So I don't think it's that element of it. And we do get things that are thrown in there for the for the female audience within the series. You guys remember when Leo ripped his shirt off in front of Trakina? That was certainly something for the female cast out there, or the female audience out there. I don't think there were too many guys that they were calling for Leo to have his shirt ripped off within the show. Again, I don't have a conclusion to this. I'm just kind of spouting out everything that comes to my mind, folks, because I don't know how to say my daughter can't watch Power Rangers because of this, or she shouldn't watch Power Rangers because of this, or she wouldn't enjoy Power Rangers because of this. And my wife can't tell me because, well, my wife's very simplistic and she's a girl, she just doesn't watch Power Rangers. Power Rangers is for boys. That's pretty much the end of the discussion with her. And if you try to egg her on, she doesn't really give you an answer, which is so frustrating, honestly. I'm not saying about my wife, but people in general, because if you egg people on about this stuff and try to get an answer, they give you no answer whatsoever, and you're back to square one. So I ask you guys out there, what is it about Power Rangers that you think makes it more acceptable or accessible to boys than it does for women? Because again, I can't think of any reason why my daughter can't watch and enjoy Power Rangers just like I did when I was a kid. And for my female audience out there, obviously you guys enjoy Power Rangers, but what do you enjoy it for? Do you enjoy it for the female characters? Do you enjoy it for the male characters? Or is it something that's gender neutral in there, like the giant robots or like the fighting or whatever and stuff? Again, it's one of those things I don't have an answer to, and I can't wrap my head around people trying to give me something, or it's like because that's the way it is. That's the thing right there. That's what I always hear is that that's the way it is, and I have to ask why is that the way it is? I just don't get it because again, Power Rangers is something that should be shared between men and women equally, and there should be no reason why one gender should enjoy it more, or we should be focusing on it one gender more. I mean, again, if the next season, or excuse me, Ninja Steel or whatever we're going to go ahead and get with, whatever next season has a predominantly female cast or female Red Ranger, that's not going to turn the male audiences off. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to bring in the female audience because whatever is there in Power Rangers that they're enjoying, it's going to remain there no matter whether you have males or females. Heck, I think if you had an all male cast, all five of the Rangers were male, then I still think you would get the same audience that people would go ahead and watch it. And I'm not saying we need to bring more women into viewing it. That would be nice, probably. But again, as a gender neutral show, at least in my mind, I think it's just fine the way it is. We just need to work on things like, story and acting and special effects and everything else that's sometimes wrong with the franchise. Um, Okay, so I realize I've talked a lot about nothing, guys, and again, I can't come to a conclusion on this. And as usual, the tavern is always just a string of consciousness of what I'm thinking at any particular moment. And I just want to know what you guys think ultimately. I really don't understand the male female dichotomy going on here, and I want to know what the general opinion is. So tell me anything and everything you guys can in the comments below and let me know. But otherwise, I'm all out of talking points. So I want to thank you guys for listening. Have a good evening. And the tavern is now closed.